none of us are married. None of us have kids.
Yeah.
So this is all just faff.
Fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh faff.
Fresh faff. Hi guys, this is Srinidi.
Hi.
Hi Srinidi.
Hi, I'm Vedhu.
I'm Rhea.
I'm Parik.
Lovely. We're apparently on our podcast episode number 2. And we're discussing marriage, children, and everything that comes with it, I guess. And our take on it.
You got the right kids for the
None
job
of us
here.
are married. None of us are kids.
Yeah, and that's the good thing, I guess. And like, what are we feeling about marriage, and do we want to marry? Do we want to have kids?
Our thoughts.
And what makes us us when we say those opinions, I guess, like when we say we want to marry. My question is like, when does all of this come up in a relationship? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, what? Or like, do you just navigate it on the go? I think when we were younger, like you said, in my formative years, you didn't even think of all of this.
No.
And then by the time you did think of it, it's all like, we'll figure it out, because
Yeah.
you've now been dating for so long and there's so much love there that you're like, yeah, we'll get through this. No questions asked.
Yeah, no, I don't know. For me,
It's
very early on, obviously.
Like in the first few months.
Yeah, I think you just get to know everything as soon as you can. I just ask questions and talk about things. Like whatever's on my mind, I'll be like, what's this person like in your family, and like what is it like, and how do you all do things, and what's going on, and like you know things as soon as possible, and then you meet everyone as soon as possible, and you like sort of try to like gauge as much as you can, and then you take it from there. I guess it's just one step at a time, right? Like what else can you do? But I don't have like I'll only date till 1 year, and then suddenly like I'm like, the time is right.
Must gather the family.
Yeah. Like, today
Your dad is late. Where are your parents?
There are situations like this where they feel like, okay, time's up now. I need to gather everybody, put them in a room, and start gauging today.
I guess I don't
And
know how
that's
that would work. Like, what
tough.
is that like? That's
Tough.
like an arranged marriage.
Basically.
No, like
Basically.
you call everyone, and then you're like, okay, now let's.
We have this much time to get to know each
We
other.
have 1 hour, then both of you couple go out and get to know each other, and we'll get to know each other inside.
You guys can. Auntie ke liye chai le.
This is funnily enough how my parents were introduced to each other. They were traditional arranged marriage. They were brought into a family home, and both the mothers are the ones doing the transaction, because for them it's a transaction, right? They're trying to see the fit.
Yeah.
And so my mother and father were asked to please go to the bedroom and have a conversation.
Bedroom.
Go to the bedroom. Big deal. Big deal.
Yeah, very forward.
Very progressive.
And there's a funny story in my family till today that my older cousin, who when he was a bachchu, he went and he had locked the door. Okay? And my mother's mother started freaking out like, oh yo, they've locked the door. Oh no. And in the whole time, my dad is actually trying to tell my mom, I can't get married because I have a girlfriend. So he's trying to have this conversation while my cousin has locked the door, and while the family are here wondering what is going on, what's happening. And so because of that, dad couldn't have the conversation.
Oh my god, this
I
is
am here
like
today.
a proper Bollywood movie
Yeah,
storyline.
This is a very funny family
so
story that's
crazy.
always talked about.
Oh
Would
my
you guys
God.
be open to an arranged marriage?
I went on an arranged marriage date once.
And
Wait, describe the situation.
tell us more.
But my parents are not like hectic about arranging
Yeah.
marriages.
I mean, now it means something else,
So
right?
they just
Like you
said, "Hi,
don't go
we
and like
found
do a
somebody for you."
transaction.
no, they get like
Yeah.
inquiries.
Like, I hope
Us-
I'm not
yeah.
meeting any boys.
They bring someone in.
We have the same algorithm.
Guys,
Yeah.
sorry.
We're not hanging, we're not.
Sorry. The way that you were saying.
You know how like people just send your parents like biodatas and things? Like just things of like,
I would assume a picture, but
No.
biodata?
yeah,
Okay.
like
There
you
is
know,
a full biodata.
Yeah,
There's
they
a whole
like-
drift.
Sure.
like people send other people, and then they're like, oh, this family has 2 single daughters, send it to them. Like that, they would get like profiles. And then I used to be like this single, like, I really want to find love. Like, where do I go? All the time to my parents. And so then they were like, we have like an arranged marriage date. like someone sent us this profile and like we know
They
their
liked him.
family. And no, they didn't know him. They knew his parents, and they were like, they're really nice people, and like we've hung out with them a bunch, and like, you know, if you feel up for it, then you should totally go. And I wasn't really like seeing anyone or going on any dates, so I was like,
Why not?
yeah, I'll go on a date. Like, I don't care. And then I went on it, and it was okay. It was whatever, but like he was like just not at all my vibe, like at all. So then I just came back and I was like, no, he's not my vibe. And they were like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever.
Sweet.
We'll tell them that.
I mean, now arranged marriage isn't like, you know, back then with Parik's parents, like you go and like,
Yeah.
say hi in
I
a
had
bedroom.
friends
And
who are never allowed, like
It's
late
like
night
another-
clubbing, going out too later on. Suddenly they're like, go with this guy. And his
Go with
friends.
this guy.
Enjoy and
luck.
tell us how you like it.
Here's 1,000 rupees. Have a good night.
Quite literally, because one of my friends was like, can you imagine? I've had to, even at the age of 27, spew lies and say that this is what I'm going to do to like have a night out with my friends. Versus she was set up on this date, and her parents were like, yeah, and she said that he's recommending that we go out to this
Club.
and all his friends are also going to be there, so it'll be like a good. Yeah, go have fun is what they said.
my
And she firstly is having this reality check with her parents. Because she's like, look at these parents now
Yeah,
that they
what
want me to
assholes.
get married.
They,
Yeah.
All my life.
They're like,
Yeah,
if it's
go.
with your husband, then it's fine. Or like a
Potential husband.
Potential husband.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
that's awful,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, that's so bad.
I feel
That's
like
not okay.
in this whole process, there's a lot of like eye-opening that's happening with your parents also directly. That's what we were talking about earlier. Because I think, because they go straight from you better not be talking to boys to I hope you're talking to some boys.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Yeah. I've given my
If it was
parents a
so-
lot of shit about that though. Because it's not like they were like, don't talk to boys, but I think they were very like stressed and worried and like concerned. They were like, is something going on?
Yeah.
Going on all the time. And so then I was like naturally like secretive, and I was like, I don't want to say because like they're reacting weirdly to it, right? So then I would not tell them anything, and then suddenly now they're like, oh, didn't find anyone. I'm like, what? Like,
my
where is
mother
that
The
coming
recently
tables have
asked
turned.
me, she was like, you're so social.
Yeah.
You go for so many parties. Why don't you have a boyfriend? I was like, no,
Yeah.
that's not how it works. But I mean, in her defense, she's always been very
Yeah,
chill.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
even when I've had boyfriends who've come, slept over and all, we've slept in the same room, she's never been like,
Yeah.
she's all been easy. And it's something that I discovered on the go. It's not like she told me I'm chill. Like, I just
Same.
figured that, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, is this
Is this-
okay? Like,
yeah.
he's here, he's
Testing
here.
the
He's
waters.
And they're like so indifferent to it.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Oh, okay, he's chill.
I used to sneak in high school, I used to sneak my boyfriend in, Visha.
I know, I've heard stories about this.
And I would like.
He's had to
keep it
jump out of a
hidden.
window, I believe, once or twice.
I lived on the 12th floor.
Okay. So it wasn't Vishal. It wasn't Vishal.
I'm not that bad, bro.
Why was he jumping on your window?
I don't know
it's a thing,
what
right?
stories he's told.
No, I think it was someone else.
You've got the wrong
Yeah, I
guy.
got the wrong guy.
But the wrong gal. But yeah, so I used to sneak him in, and one day, whatever, luck ran out. We got caught. Oh no, I shouldn't be telling that story. Anyway, back to what I was saying. One day we got caught, and my mom was just like, "Why are you doing all these things? You know, you can just like stay over if you ask." And I was like, "Oh."
Fuck.
Oh.
Didn't think about that.
I was like, "Yeah, I didn't know that that's how it works."
Same thing happened to me. So like, I was staying in these apartments in Bangalore, and my mom was visiting. So she was staying with me at that point and all. And me and my ex would just go on the terrace and hang. Once, I think the guard told my mom, being like, "Brother, I think the kids are hanging on the terrace and hanging. Like, why can't you all just chill at home?" And I was like, yeah. And then once we were chilling at home, she's like, "Why don't you stay over?" She's
Oh.
serving him food and being like, "Why don't you just stay over?" And he's like, "Oh,"
shocked.
he's looking at me being like, "Oh, I can stay over." I was
If
like,
I
"Yeah,
had
yes, you
kids,
can."
I would not allow this.
Really?
If you were a parent,
But you don't want to have kids, so.
Exactly.
I think I would be slightly concerned also. I would be like, separate rooms. But
Separate rooms.
You can sleep over, but
Separate
like,
rooms.
It's like in their 20s.
No,
you're
when
telling
they're
them
like
separate rooms.
teenagers.
Not
When they're
20s.
teenagers.
Yeah, we were 20, yeah.
But what are you worried about? That
We were
these
19,
kids are going to have a good time. These kids are
Which
going
they are
to
anyways having.
correct.
No, if
Oh, you
I
don't-
don't know, I'll check the vibe of
Boy.
the boy or the girl, whoever,
Yeah.
whatever is happening,
Happening.
the dynamic.
Vibe
And then-
check.
Yeah,
Vibe
like
check.
But that's
Because
fair.
I feel like-
because sometimes your kids do make dumb decisions
no,
and
but
date dumb.
as a
But they need
parent,
to make the dumb decision.
yeah, but like as a
But
parent,
how,
you know, you can
how
always
dumb of a decision? can
yeah,
it be?
you can
know,
always
there's a-
tell.
Yeah.
You could make some really
Yeah.
dumb decisions.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, every person that my mom ever was sus about
True.
was just bad for me.
Yeah.
Like my mom would
Wow.
kind of like make a face and be
know.
like, I just don't think so. And like a couple months later, I'm like, like she just knows. She just knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I feel like parents just have like they're intuitive like that about kids. Also as about our friends, right? Like you
Friends
can really
specifically,
like
yeah.
see through like all of your friends' bullshit partners, and you're like, please stop it. So in that sense, I feel like at least I do the bare minimum. If they were sneaking out of one room and going and all, then I'm not sitting up at night being like putting a torch and being like, don't run.
I think
and
only
do all
because
this
I want
shit.
like a certain set of boundaries in place, being like, okay, cool, I'm glad that there's some level of like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not like full free. She's not thinking,
No,
Mama,
yeah.
shut up. I go with my boyfriend in my room. I'll be like, that
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
I didn't do the vibe check.
I think there needs to be some amount of like control and
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm actually kind of happy that there
They
was a
have-
little bit of like concern and like thought in my mind when I was like doing something stupid. I was like, I don't want my parents to find out and be like, why the fuck were you doing something this stupid? And like I cared about what they thought, you know. So then I didn't do something like that
Just mildly
idiotic that
stupid.
I'm like regretting until now. And I think that could very easily happen if you had parents who were just not paying attention at all and like they just really didn't care and they let you do whatever they want all the time.
But I don't know, I think like Indian parents are a bit,
That like too much.
yeah, because like once my mother was cleaning my cupboard and she found condoms. And she just didn't know how to have the conversation with me.
Right. But what
She
was
just
the
like-
first reaction? Outrage or confusion?
She didn't admit it.
Oh,
I
I
found
see.
out
I
because
see.
I opened my
I
cupboard
love
and
her.
I was like, bro, she knows, like, what the fuck? Like, she's seen it. And I'm just waiting for her to bring it up. And she's
Till
not
today.
till today. Hopefully this weekend we'll talk about
Okay.
it. Actually, no. I was just waiting for her to bring it up and she did not. And then one day I was like, Ma, I know you cleaned my cupboard. Yeah. All good. I cleaned. I've kept
I love
everything.
how she's found the condoms and you're like, I'm waiting for her to bring it up. I'm
Because
waiting
I
for
wanted
her
to, like, say
admit
something.
Yes, yes.
But I've never got any talk. Like, I don't
Yeah,
think
no.
Indian parents
No,
give,
Just
Zero.
do the talk.
give the
Same.
talk
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
no
Like,
talk.
they just dodge it and then
No.
one day they're like,
They
go
hard
to
dodge.
this with your future husband to the club. There's no
Yeah.
in between.
But funnily, it's okay. I think funnily, I
Oh.
I had
What
a
is going
conversation
on?
with my mother about masturbation.
Let's go.
And she was shook.
At what age though?
Like now, like a year back.
Proud of you.
Oh. Yeah, that's a good time.
Because my mother was like really going on and on and on about like, in this one said conversation about like me having a boyfriend or partner. And I was like, Mom, what are you worried about? Like, what's the deal? Like, are you thinking I'm not like having fun? And I was like, because I'm not.
The things we have established on this podcast are A, Vedika is not having fun. And B, she is not having fun. Single inner.
going. Yeah, ma, I'm not.
I thought we were going for an uplifting sentiment. Are you worried that I'm not having fun? Because I'm not.
Not in the conventional setup. But either way, and like at some point something about sex came up and I was like, but you know, like, even if I was having fun, orgasms don't just arrive for women. I'm pretty sure you know that. And she was just not willing to have that. She was just like,
Dodge avoid.
Yeah,
she was doing everything in the vicinity. And then she's like, and I was like, so I feel like, you know, orgasms you can have anyways, I'm saying. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I mean, you can. There are other ways there. Like, I don't think I'm starved for pleasure is what I'm saying. And then she's like, okay, as long as you know what you're doing. And that's legit what she said. And I said, And this is the wild part. She's going to kill me for it. She was like, I said, I think you should try it. And she's like, Shabri, enough now. And she just like wrapped everything up and she's moved to the kitchen. And after that, obviously, it's already come up.
Yeah.
I
And
love
then-
that Indian parent conversation closure. Like,
Yeah.
as long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
run out
Yeah.
of the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't blame them, to be very honest, because I feel like they were never like, please, God, I don't think she was.
I'm
for
very
them, I
upset.
think-
I'm very upset that I didn't get the talk.
Why
I
are
was
you
like,
upset?
because I feel someone should have taught me something. What the hell? Like, I was just out there, like, clueless as hell, just being like, is this what it looks like? Is this what it's supposed to
be?
feel like? What is
okay.
going on? Like,
But do you think your parents would have given you the conversation you think you would have got?
no, but at least I wouldn't feel so much like stress and shame around it.
And
you
plus,
know?
maybe you would have even felt confident enough to go back and have a conversation.
Or
for that
maybe
matter.
I would at least feel comfy enough to like, okay, they could have gifted me a book about it. They could have gifted, like, asked me to
And
read
basically
something
bring the
about
topic
it.
to the
Like,
table.
just be like, this is something that people do. And like, I just need you to know that there are safe ways to do it and unsafe ways to do it, and people that you should do it with and people you shouldn't do it with, because like you're really young and impressionable sometimes, and you're feeling all of these feelings and you're kind of just going with it, and then you're in really bad situations, and then you let people do things that you don't know if you should say yes or no to, and it's very problematic.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Even
they need
school,
to-
like,
yeah.
completely glazes
school
over
ignores
it.
it.
They're
I
just
was
like...
in like convent school,
yeah.
and they gave us like,
Shame.
yeah, they
Just
literally
shame.
were like, if you touch a boy, you will get pregnant and then you will die, or you will
Pregnant
become
and die.
like, that's the end of your life. They showed us a video of this girl who had a boyfriend, and then she was like loitering in a park holding his hand, and the next moment she's pregnant and she's begging on the
Wow.
street.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was our sex ed. I was like, this is just so traumatic.
Just convent
We're all like
school
12-year-old kids, like, I will die if I hold a boy's hand in the park. Like, that's so scary.
That's
It was
not
just
cool.
so bad.
It's not cool.
Like,
But I believe boys get a talk from their dad.
You know, this is not true. None of my friends that I know of have had a conversation from their dad or anybody about a single thing about sexual health and or about hygiene.
yeah.
This is a much,
Hygiene is
this
a
is
very
a much,
important thing.
I think this is the first thing. And this is a conversation that my dad would laugh at if I would try to bring it up. Like, he would just laugh, be like, and I don't think any dad that I know, and I hang out with my friends' dads, and largely are uninterested, firstly. I think that's the biggest thing, is they're uninterested. Forget about responsibility, which is how you're seeing it. You're seeing it as, I wish my parents had the foresight to give me this
Yeah.
as a responsible measure.
Yeah.
These guys have no interest in this sort of approach.
Yeah, it's very like they'll figure it out on the go.
They're
which
all
is
like,
risky,
we did
man.
it, they'll do it, ho ho, and they just move on.
Yeah, that's really ridiculous.
That's
though.
horrible.
And I believe it starts at hygiene,
bad.
because sexual health is
Yeah.
the second or third step. Hygiene is the first step. And
Hygiene, I feel like I gotta, like, I think my parents are pretty comfy with like any other talk other than like sex.
No, but I
They'll
feel
just,
like,
shut
my
down.
mother with me, like, because she had me when she was like 24, I think, 23, was a whole different thing. Whereas with my brother, who she had at 14, who's like 14 years old now, he's getting treated like an adult. He's having open conversations. Like, my mother is actually talking to him about anything and everything on the planet. She's having the hygiene talk with him.
amazing.
And she's asked me to check in with my therapist as in what pointers you should bring up when you're talking with your child about it. She's like, I think I'd just like to know. And she's straight up treating him like an adult. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's still coming with a whole baggage of being a parent.
Yeah.
Because that just
But he
doesn't,
responds to that.
not in the best way.
Okay.
But like, he's still open to it. And he's like, I get it, I'll sit on the table, I'll listen to what you have to say. But I don't think he's interactive. But that's
But
no
you
14-year-old
know-
is
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
That's
interactive.
fine.
Yeah.
But he's at the table. He's
Amazing.
at the table. He's having
Amazing.
the conversation.
Honestly,
And I think that to me, I think that's when slowly my perspective on having kids have started to change, right? Because I'm just like, oh wow, that's an existing relationship
Yeah.
that you could have with your child. Which to me before that was alien. I was like, I just have like they have responsibilities and they have to put you to school and they have to give you these like morals and they have to tell you what's right and what's good and what's bad. And there's nothing really more to it. But as I'm growing old, I'm realizing my mom's my friend.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling her about douchebags that I've gone on dates with and she's like, oh shit, that's bad. She's like, how did you not know? And I was like, Ma, I didn't know. And it's a very open, genuine conversation. And then she'd also be like, I hope you didn't sleep with him. And I was like, yeah, I didn't. And there are no repercussions to that conversation. Whereas in the past,
I think that's the real nail. That there are no repercussions for that
exactly,
conversation.
because back in the day, if the conversation was happening and you were like, did you sleep with him? And you said,
Get out of my house!
that was a cockroach.
Oh, you okay?
I was like, that was an odd participation in this drama. She's like,
Yeah,
I
was
just
like,
love
yes,
cockroaches.
Really going along with the improv.
I was like, I get these two acts. I'm just not understanding this
What
act.
Ria's part is in it.
She's like,
I just wanted to be a part of it.
Thank you for having me. I just wanted to be. But yeah,
I love that.
I feel like, but I'm pretty sure you all are having that with your parents too. Like you all are real.
No. I'm
Zero?
not pals with my parents. No, they're just. I think they're always going to be parents, and also they're very awkward South Indian parents. They're
Which
just
is fine,
like,
you know?
which is fine. And now I've like, kind of like understood it and made peace with it, and I'm not expecting them to like chat pally with me. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll give you whatever info you need to know, and like that makes you feel safe. But I'm not like, yeah, I slept. No, I can't. Like,
yeah, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a dynamic,
that's awesome.
your sis,
Get it, girl! Get some!
That would be amazing also. That would be...
No, obviously I'm not calling your husband like Jess who got lucky.
Yeah.
That's not happening. According to her.
No,
I'm
but
only
like that kind of convo is like it
not
just,
even a possibility.
no,
you say,
it cannot even be part of
Correct.
the convo because they'll just like shut down and we'll all get really quiet. Like very soon we'll be like, you know, like
Yeah, just
all
moving
like-
on.
Yeah,
Moving
yeah.
on
Like
from this.
I'll make tea. Anybody wants some tea?
It's your mom.
He was like, yeah, like just rushing to like do something else so that you know she doesn't have to say the
That's
word
just the
sex
classic
ever.
Indian parents. What about your parents?
No, they've always been really chill and like very involved in my life. Like their parents, I mean, their friends are my friends and my friends are kind of
Their friends.
So
That's
they
sweet.
always, like I've never been one to like call my mom and be like, oh my god, ABC happened, but she's always like present. Knows what's going on, is very chill with everything.
And I'm pretty sure that relationship has evolved.
Yeah. Also,
It
as
wasn't-
an only child, it sometimes is like almost a sibling
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
relationship, you know, because yeah, she's pretty young and
Yeah. I think that does tend to happen because I feel like
Is that odd in any way?
yeah, because I feel like she's like it's a very sister relationship where I'm like, why are you always around when my friends are here? Like, go hang out with your
Yeah,
own
yeah, yeah,
friends,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is like very sibling. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Very
yeah, it's
sibling,
good
it is.
because like I think there's like a community on both sides, you know,
Sides.
that she's involved in.
That's funny that they're both only children.
and but I grew up 14 years of my life as an
you're
only
like
child.
half only.
Yeah, but
You're
then,
like an only child, but also a mother. Like
Yeah,
suddenly
yeah.
boom.
Yeah.
The gap
like a
is
teen
so big.
mom.
Like a teen mom indeed.
Yeah. That's your dynamic's quite different. With
But
your
I do try to
sibling.
maintain the sibling bit. It doesn't really happen because I do
Yeah,
end
it's
up
too much of
becoming
a
mama.
gap.
Yeah, not. I think I'm more like I'm the bad cop.
Guardian.
My mom's the good cop mostly, but I think he's starting to realize that's a lie. And he's like, actually, Didi is the good cop. and finally, nobody like somebody asked me the other day, oh my god, he calls you Didi, and I was just like, actually, yeah, when he was younger, I think somebody must have said you should say Didi, and he just stuck with Didi. Now it's just Didi, but. I wonder if it'll ever evolve into him calling me Srinidi because he can call me Srinidi. I
Yeah.
told him that he's like, that's just too difficult, he said.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know, it's
Yeah, now when you're used to something for so long,
Long,
then, like,
yeah.
why would you change it?
Also, I don't know, I try to keep the whole bullying and stuff going just for character development. So
Yeah.
that
Important.
be like, my elder sister never let me do this. and
Yeah.
all that." And
Bring back
really
bullying.
Cute, there's a really cute video of him when he was in like the first grade or second grade, getting really eager in class, and he's like, my sister listens to all my stories and she loves all my stories. And I was just like, oh my god. And if I showed it to him right now, he's like, that was a lie. That he doesn't communicate with me in any way. I'll be like, how was your day? Good. And I'll call him and I'll be like, tell me more
He's
about school.
14, right?
Yeah, I'll be like, how's it
Yeah.
going?
Can't expect much else.
And I was like, how's it going?
At least you're
And I was
getting a
like, he'll be
good-
like, yeah, this. And then I was like, do you have any stories? No, just this. Okay, is that all? Can we cut the call? And I was like, yeah, I guess. Okay, bye, miss you, love you. He'll say the words, but I'm just like, I don't feel it. Do you? Do you?
You sound very motherly just describing it.
Yeah. It's a very, like, my relationship with my sister is like insanity. It's
But your
com-
difference
Is it
is
just
so
like
little.
claws come out and it's
it's
just
like
like
completely nuts.
But y'all have like what, 3 years?
2.5.
Yeah, that's too close.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's-
like as long as this.
Yeah, I think
you're the
like
older sister?
no,
No,
I'm
younger.
younger.
Oh, you're younger.
Yeah, but everyone confuses it because like I'm more mature.
Would she agree with that though?
Yeah,
she would,
No,
okay.
like collectively everyone agrees with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very like it's difficult because she's like so different from me, like just completely different personality, and I don't think either of us would like have been friends if we weren't siblings. Like we wouldn't have ever been in the same circumstance or like circles. Like that's how different we are. And it's like very funny that we've been like born into the same family somehow, just like put here, and it's like now you have to face it like every day and like figure it out, like learn how this other person functions just because they're a sibling now. But I think it's helped me like understand people that I can't relate to at all, just because I can see through her eyes now, and I'm like, oh, she's like that, so maybe that's how they think. And
Would
they
you
do
say
things.
you guys are close?
Yeah, we're very close, but we're also very like
Combative.
yeah, it's a very like it I don't know, the word's not coming to me, but it explodes very easily.
Oh, like
You
a
know?
Volatile.
Yeah, it's very volatile. And it's good for us to have space, and we're very good when we like have a lot of space and then we come together, and we have a lot of space and we come together.
I honestly think family
Families
in general is
are
volatile.
like
Yeah, family
like
in
families
general
are
Indian
volatile.
families-
Like one day you could just come back from work and have havoc in your house.
Yeah.
And be like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
What is this about?
Yeah.
And it's like everything, yeah. Like with my mom and my brother, like we'd have fights.
Yeah.
Like fights
Yelling
out of the
matches.
blue.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow.
Yeah, you're all bringing like your moods into the same room at the end of the day, and then you're
And I
like,
think this whole being comfortable with each other has gone too far. in
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
right? Because they're like, fuck comfort.
Yeah.
You know, I
Where
find these perfect families that sit, have lunch, and share coffee every day and like smile. I find them very dull.
Smile.
Yeah, smile.
And smile.
Like, my family doesn't smile at all. Like there's very little smiling happening. And I find families that are so smiley and like so happy. Like, can I make you something? And I'm like, wow, this
It's
is
a
this
facade.
is. Yeah, it's very facade-y. Yeah, it feels like a facade.
I'm always like, I want that.
Yeah, same.
I just love watching
It's
it.
aspirational, but it
Yeah.
feels wrong.
When it feels fake, you can tell. But there are some families that at least I've seen where like everyone, it's not like they're perfect, but they sort of like understand each other. They're very understanding of each other, and they like allow each other to be. I feel like in my home, like nobody allows each other. There's always like opinions and instructions. Like, why can't you do it like this? Why
Why can't you do
yeah,
it like this?
You should be more like this. You should relax a little.
Yeah, there's
Like,
a lot of that.
nobody is just like letting the other person be and
be.
express the way that they are. And you're too short-tempered and you're too anxious. You're getting scared about everything all the time, and it's like very like pointed.
You know what the last line would be? And lunch today was not good.
Yeah.
And then like, boom, everything goes
That's
out the
the
window.
lowest blow in the
Yeah.
Indian house.
Yeah.
Like,
The
you can
food.
say what
Yeah.
you want about my personality, but don't talk about
the
the
food.
Yeah.
Like, that's.
It's funny though, because I feel like it depends. I feel like, again, I've been around some families where now everybody's an adult. Like the kids are grown up and so are they. So now they've kind of understood what it is to have like some boundaries and like, oh, it's okay, let's just that be like. With my mom, I think she'll call me, she'll be like, he's being like this, and I was like, Ma, he's a teenager, it's okay, like let it go, let it be. And then she'll be like, you think I only have to course correct, what about him? And I was like, yeah, Ma, you're 40 years old and it's easier for you to course correct. And she's like, no, he's also 14, he can be moldable. And I was like, okay, we can have a conversation about this, and we'll have a conversation about it. And I'm sometimes just thinking, I don't know what Z is taking, like my brother is taking away from it. He's just like, okay, cool, like I guess I'll do that. You want me to be more communicative. But it's going back to like, you do get a sense of people from your siblings, because I would never get introverted, like people who don't talk much and like shy and just crack jokes and walk away before. I feel like, what personality is that? And then now when
Do you even have one?
yeah, and then now when somebody said, I was like, oh my god, that's like my brother. He's like they'll be nerdy and they'll just have like a few good
Yeah.
punchlines, and then
yeah.
they're not really in the vicinity.
I think it like forces you to accept them because they're your family.
Correct.
And then you're more accepting of other people who otherwise you'd be really like judgmental about. No, you'd be
I was
like,
that
"Oh."
kid. I was that kid who would like give like some jab and then leave the family room, and
Yeah.
I would go on a computer and do
Yeah.
whatever I needed to do. And I felt that was better for me.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was better for my development.
Yeah.
Being around the family dynamic was detrimental. It was
Yeah.
better to be at a computer, be like away, and to have your development take place isolated from the community.
And I'm pretty sure that does its own thing.
Yeah.
Does its own thing.
I
feel
feel
like-
I can just get up and get my coffee for a minute.
No.
We can go on.
Yeah.
I think the three of us like didn't hang out as a unit at all. Like we didn't spend that much time. But what I was saying before about, we're all very involved in each other's lives and like their friends, and we've, always hung out like a big community. So I think that's probably, how it manifested.
What
in
I've
life.
realized is that when I was younger, I used to love the idea of a joint family because my family's always been so small, and it's always required to be like because I think when I was younger, and we were like in Bombay and stuff, it was still a big family, but because my mom's side was extremely orthodox and stuff like that, and then once she moved to Dubai, it was just like, oh, we're not really keeping in touch of that side of the family, and then it was just us constantly, like just very small, and then I think I've spent enough times in like joint family, and I've understood that all of that also comes with like a whole lot of baggage. Like it's like, just to put it in like a simpler analogy, I would say, how you would choose to have one flatmate versus 4 or 5.
You're catering to like
Yeah,
so many.
and doesn't matter, you might love them to death, but sometimes you just want to come back home and not have to think of 4 people and where they are placed and what their opinions might have been. You're just like, I don't want to be thinking about that. I just want to be able to come and be. And if you have just one person to deal with or 2 people to deal with versus like more than that.
Yeah.
That's true.
But also, I think everything that we are coming from is what we know, right? And everything they are coming from is what they knew. Like, I think my mother has really educated herself. Like, she's learned, and she's told me this. She said, I've learned so much from whatever you tell me. Like, oh, this is how it should be. Oh, like, okay, you're saying this is what I should do. Okay, fine. Like, there needs to be more. Okay, my anger, I'm working on that. And she's not successful at it. I don't think she's like, oh, that's done. You told me to solve that, I'm done. She knows, and it's an active working thing. But like, she was never even exposed to that conversation. Like, even going back to the sex talk and everything. I think the first time that anybody even spoke to her about sex was like, oh, I hope you're ready to have a child now
Wow.
that you're married.
Wow.
And she told me that. She was like, because she was I think she had met my father maybe like a few weeks before marriage.
Oh my god.
And then she got married. And then the next time somebody even spoke to her about anything sex related was children.
Yeah.
What's up? And what is that person going to talk to you about? You know?
Yeah.
Like she's 24 and she didn't have a chat, and the first time she even had that experience was after she got married and to like have a child.
Yeah.
Versus here we are going through things that they don't even know about. So I feel like we also don't really, I personally just saying, I think I constantly try to hold space for a conversation where I'm saying, hey, I know you don't know about XYZ, but this is what's up and what do you think? Versus being like, oh, but you never said any
Yeah.
of this and what is your opinion? But they're like, bro, I don't have, my understanding is they don't have an opinion on it. They're telling you what you know best.
Correct. They don't have an opinion.
And when I told my mom about like my views on having children and stuff like that, she's like, firstly, you're already 20 steps ahead, because I didn't even ask these questions about will I be a selfless parent, because I told her that my mother has sacrificed way too much. Like I don't see myself being that
Yeah.
selfless, where I'll put my kids above everything else and my world will revolve around that. I think that has its own cons though, of course. But I don't know if I have it in me to do that. And she's like, by the virtue of you having those questions, you're automatically arriving to the conclusion that you are going to try and build a better world and space for your child. And whether you decide to have them or not is secondary. And the most healed and like going through being equipped with the tools to raise a child will still have some baggage that they lend down, because that's who we are as people. We impose. And we impose heavily with what we believe in, what our perspectives are, what's right, what's not right. It's very like not defined. And obviously like there are these articles that are too not defined, where now you're trying to raise a genderless child, where you're not telling them if it's a he or she, which I don't get. I think it's too complicated. I'm just like, how about we just go with the normal
With the standard
Level
too.
with the
one.
standard
With the
tool, and
standard
then
tool.
Level
eventually if
one
it comes up,
training.
I'm happy to like address it, but I can't just be like, just don't say she or he and all. I recently read a whole article on it. I don't know if it was the Guardian or New Yorker, but where there was this whole school in the US doing it.
So what did they do?
They basically like just don't have.
How do they
genders.
refer to
They.
they? Right, they. Okay. So when you say I don't want to, I put my kids in a school that is not going to teach about pronouns and all of this. It's not that it's a bad or a good thing. It's that the way I see it is, are you preparing your child to live in a society or preparing your child to participate in many societies? This is where I think the definition gets kind of loose, which is if I'm raising my child to participate in this society, the one that I am in, the one that I see every day, the one that my friends are in, and I know that every other society doesn't matter. This is the society that matters to me and my child. Then I'm going to raise my child with the pronouns, with the kitties, with all of this, and I'm going to sleep in the bed that I've made. But if I'm going to raise my child to participate in societies,
Yeah.
meaning that they will enter societies, leave societies,
Yeah.
work in different societies, maybe meet and marry in other societies, it becomes harder to try to condition them in a certain degree, because the whole purpose of multiple societies is now that your child must discover. And that's where it becomes kind of questionable, where
Yeah.
you're raising children to live and participate only here.
But
I
it's
feel
a very
like where it's-
age-driven thing also. Like versus guiding a child who's like 7, 8 versus in their teens
No,
versus
but I
little
feel like
older.
it's an issue of like we were so on this end of the spectrum,
Spectrum.
where we were like not allowing queer people to be queer and
Yeah.
express themselves, and we were being so restrictive with gender. I feel like the natural course is to like go the other way, where
Swing
you're
the
being
pendulum.
like so ridiculously liberal that it makes no sense until it finds like a middle ground.
Yeah.
And that's the general like motion of things,
Yeah.
right? Like you're on this extreme and then everyone goes to this extreme, where it's like this is insane and this is not working out, and then like eventually, like obviously generations later, you come to a middle ground where you're like you're allowing, but you're kind of clearer about what works out in the long run, because you've seen what it's done to the people that experimented in these ways. So I feel like that's where we're at, where we're like, there's a bunch of people who are like, no, we're like tired of this
Yeah, for
aggression, and so we're gonna go the
It's a hard
entire
pendulum
other way.
effect.
Yeah.
100%.
That's where I think it's coming from.
I guess you could be like open where like I don't know, I'm trying to think if somebody came up to me and if my child came up to me and said that, hey, I identify as a cat, I'd just be like, what's that
Meow.
about? What's that about? And then have that conversation. I feel like in partnerships, what I've come to realize in my conversations is where some people realize that, oh, their partners are not maternal at all or not paternal at all. They're like, brother, this man cannot be a father, period. And I have friends who I know should not be fathers at least, like in terms of what their behavioral inclinations
look
are
at Parik.
towards violence and like substances. Or like if they are living their lifestyle that they're living now and the choices that they're making now with like substances, violence and just general moral high ground, I'd be like, brother, do not have a child. Like, do yourself a favor and everyone else don't. And when do you start checking in that also with your partner? Like, don't you do that early on? Because I think
if someone is like generally a decent human being, like healthy enough, then
to course correct or just in general has
no,
never
just
come.
generally, and if they want to have kids and they take care of themselves and their mental health and they have like good general like value system and they want to be a parent, then I think they'll work towards it. I don't think everyone's like born with the instinct, you know.
course, of
sometimes
Yeah,
it's
people
like
are not born with
yeah.
instincts.
That's
like
that's
I don't
100% sure.
Yeah, you learn on the
Yeah,
job.
you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it develops with time and then you learn how to do it. But yeah, I think overall, like, just don't pick an asshole to marry.
No, this is also coming from, I don't know how much you've seen or heard it. There's always like a baby to fix the problem.
Oh yeah.
You marry an asshole and then you're like, the baby is
He will
going to fix
it,
my
an
asshole.
He'll become responsible because I'll give him a child to be
Yeah.
responsible for. And
No,
you're like,
that is
not the
ultra
answer.
problematic. That is
Ultra
just like the worst decision ever.
But would you beat up your kids?
No,
No,
I
so-
say beat because I was a kid that was beat.
Yeah?
I was a kid that was 100%.
I got beaten up a couple of
Yeah.
times.
Everyone
too,
I know
and
got beat up.
badly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thrashed.
I don't know.
My mom would
Got
beat the
jacked
shit out of me.
I can't even imagine that. My parents would come to school and tell like every teacher to like
Be
not-
calm with
yeah,
her.
just like don't touch her. She's gonna get really upset. And I would cry if I saw another kid get
Oh
hit.
my
I would go home like weeping the whole day because I'm like, they hit that girl so badly.
Wow.
My mom would
Yeah.
come to school and
Be
go
like,
to
hit
the
him!
trouble. And she'd be like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Straighten him out. Get
Kids
him
need to
to
get
do things.
beaten. That's how we are.
That's very.
No, because in their eyes,
That's so
I was.
deeply
It was more of.
upsetting.
It wasn't raising. It was. We're going to discipline through what we believe is going to straighten this child out. It wasn't about what values or these things are not even on the agenda. It's about you did this, now you must face it. You must face the wrath. And after a certain point, it backfired because the discipline turned out to be so nonsensical that it lacked any impact.
Yeah.
Also, punishment is one of the worst forms of learning. You
Absolutely.
end up
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
show.
remembering
chance.
the punishment
Yeah,
rather
not
than
the
whatever
lesson.
the lesson,
Lesson was,
right?
yeah.
Like now I remember every single time I got like beat up as a kid, I can't tell you a single thing
What it was
was
for.
about.
Yeah.
And I probably still do that shit. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so bad.
It's the easy discipline to just
It's
whack.
also like I feel like this one time I was in a temple and then this dad was like like playing with his kid and like really excited, and then the kid was like not following instructions or like not doing what he wanted to do, and he straight went from like being really excited to like listen to me, like whacking the kid, okay, and it like really threw me off, and I was like, it must have like shook the kid because he must have gotten playful because the dad is being playful, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you like switch modes because you're like frustrated and your like fuse is short or whatever, which is like super fucked up. And I was talking about it to my therapist, and then we were talking about like what's the appropriate thing to do, because like sometimes I guess you do have to hit kids, you know, like it does get to the point where you need a beating at some point. And then there are like levels to it, like you have to like say it nicely and be like, can you please not do that, and then be like, I've asked you once, can you not do that, and then you go to a yelling, so that it's like a gradual like change of mood, and you're getting more serious and you're being instructive, and you're like, I am going to hit you if you're not, if you don't stop, and then you actually do it, and that's like less shocking to the child, but also a method of like, okay, I've been told a bunch of times, so the next time when they say don't do it, I won't let it go all the way to the other end where I'm going to get hit. And I guess that was like, it kind of makes sense, but like, who's sitting and keeping track when you're upset? Like,
Not
step
only
number
that, I
one,
think
step number
it's
two,
the
step
whole
number three.
system is unchecked, you know, like this whole, I feel like this also goes to show who you are as a person outside of it also, like in friendships, in jobs and all. Like, I was just telling you the instance yesterday or something, like I was so frustrated at work that at one point I was asking this person to help me with this thing, and he was just being very like, and he is very young, he's like an intern or something, I think, and I was just like, thank you for being extremely unhelpful, and I just walked away, and I was just like, that was not nice. That was not nice, period. And I went back and I apologized and I said, you know, I'm sorry, but how about like when you don't want to do something, just tell me you don't want to do it and we can go on, versus like just dilly-dallying and all of that. And I try to have a conversation, said sorry, and it's the same reaction that you have with your children. I want to say that you want to like try and tell them and they're like,
Yeah, and I think it's also helpful when you go back and apologize.
You have to like, they need to. My mother, even though I've been beaten up, till date is apologizing for those 3-4 times. Till date.
That's sweet.
Yeah, you said she
That's
starts
sweet.
crying.
She starts crying. She has immense guilt. Immense. Because my brother has barely been hit, like once or twice, and that also just like
So
that.
she learned her lesson.
Yeah. And I know that she did it in the moment, in that frustration, just being like, are you kidding me? And like even now, forget the beatings. I think I'll go and we'll, like I said, volatile, right? Families are volatile. We'll be on holidays and something will happen and there'll be 1 or 2 days and I'll be leaving back to come back to Bombay and, you know, like leaving my family again. And she'll be like, if anything was not okay this trip, I just want to say I'm sorry.
Good mom.
And
That's
I
a
was
good
like,
mom.
oh my god, Mom, please can we not go down that road? Everything's great. But yeah, like I feel it goes, and I spoke to my therapist about it too, because I think with my brother I get really frustrated because he's so shut off, and I don't know what that language is, right? Because I've never been that shut off. Somebody did ask me if I'm doing okay. I think I wouldn't say it the first few times, but the third time I'd probably be like, so basically. Again, he just doesn't, right? He does not break character. Like, to put it plain simply, he does not break. And I was talking to my therapist and she said that you have to realize that adults are assholes to kids, period. Across the board. Like, if this is like Gulliver's Travels where you have Lilliput and everybody's just like rude and mean and they're just like imposing with their big defined personalities, and children just have to endure all of that in like schools, friendships, their families, and that's a lot. That's a lot, and I never saw it like that. And then now when you see like kids objectively and like have these, like you said, right, like recently I saw a parent just lie down with their kid because the kid was throwing a full-blown tantrum in this play area or whatever, and being like, oh, I don't want to leave, I don't want to leave, I don't want to leave. And she was like, just can we please leave, okay, enough and all. And then the father was like paying the bill and being like, come on, get him out, let's go. And all. She's like, yeah, 2 minutes and he's not leaving her. She's gone right in the middle of this pit ball or whatever thing, and she was flat on the floor, and she was like, and then he's just, the kid didn't know what the hell happened. And being like, what happened? And then he's like trying to like move around. She did not move.
Oh my god.
She was just like
playing dead.
Playing dead.
not playing. She was just like, no, she was not playing dead, but she was just
pull
like,
the Lion King scene on the kid, dude. That's really
That's true.
That's more traumatic than beating your kid. Just make him watch Lion King next day, cry with Mufasa. Next day, when he's throwing a tantrum, play dead in the ball pit.
and he was just like,
That's too much.
no, but it's just the way it played out is he kept like being like, what's up? And she was just like she had expressions and stuff going on, and she was like,
And I was like, what's
But I
going
love
on?
that.
No, but I think that's a good move.
Yeah. And then what happened is then the kid is now calling the father.
That's-
Being like, Papa.
That's amazing.
And I was like,
role reversal.
Exactly.
You be the parent and I'll be the child.
Which is a
Also,
smooth
like,
tactic.
Yeah,
versus like,
yeah,
we have
never
to go now.
let
I
them
feel
know
like
your
most
next
parents
move.
do that
Yeah,
now.
Yeah,
just never let them
This
know
is
your
this
next
is I think an
Just play
evolved
dead.
strat. You have to come to an understanding of family dynamics to do the role reversal.
Yeah.
You need to understand that this child is expecting a certain scene to take place, and that scene is already in their head.
Yeah.
You just need to change what their character in that scene is,
Yeah.
and that takes a level, I think.
But unconsciously and very unhealthily, I feel like parents do role reversal all the time.
Oh, yeah, when you
like
suddenly
you're
become
the
the
parent
parent.
and I'm the child now.
And that is not okay.
Yeah,
Let me
and
just
that's
specify
just
that.
really bad. And like, I remember like back in the day when everyone would be like, wow, that child is just so mature for their age. And I'm like, that's
Trauma.
such a terrible, yeah, it's a little trauma baby. Like, just
Yeah,
trying
it is a
to
trauma
be like the parent in their household when they just literally are like 5 years old, poor things, they're sitting and trying to like strategize how to like make life work. And oh, it's so sad. And now every time I'm like, I see an overly mature child, I'm like,
Yeah, like trauma
let's do
baby.
something
Yeah.
stupid, you know, like let's do something like dumb and
cute.
childlike. Yeah.
Also, I think like all our moms probably, like that entire generation of women and mothers, they all probably had us when we were like when they were younger than what age
yeah.
we
For
are
sure,
now.
yeah.
And I can safely say I have nothing in life figured out right now to have a kid. So
Yeah.
like you have to
Them
understand
trying
that they were like also, and they
Kids.
didn't have Google, by the way.
Yeah,
They couldn't
yeah,
like be like, what do I do now? My
Yeah,
child
yeah,
is,
yeah.
you know, malfunctioning.
Yeah.
But they had village remedies and like cultural like weird
What
things
village
that. Dude, my family had weird ass remedies, man.
For
Again, you
health
say pre-Google. This is like tribal like knowledge.
But for
and,
health
like,
issues, you're
Health,
saying.
all
yeah,
sorts-
what about your
for
psychology, like
everything.
mental health?
Hello, they would be like, what is the auto driver told Gautam? If you have a cough, just stop thinking for 5 minutes.
Yeah, not
There were
like that
many
remedies,
like
Parik.
these. Dude, there were many of
Yeah,
these
my mother
weird
takes
things.
out my nazar also before every time we travel and all. She thinks that will make it better.
Yeah, but what we're saying is they didn't have like the tools
manual.
to
They were
yeah,
not
like to
equipped.
manage a situation like
I'm pretty sure they
emotionally
didn't
and,
have
like,
information on themselves. Like they barely figured out who they
who
were as
they
people.
were. Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if they
yeah.
even had fun. Like I mean, I'm speaking for my mom. Like I feel like
Yeah.
she's also learning and figuring life with me.
Yeah.
And like when we go on trips and when we go
Yeah.
out like shopping and like
I feel like I'm hanging out with like a young girl even I hang out with my mom
Yeah.
because we're both kind of like doing
things.
sweet fun things together and I feel like she stopped growing
Yeah.
at that age, you know, like she still feels like a child to me and like I've evolved so much I feel and like learned about myself but like she like dedicated her whole life to like taking care of us. I think
Yeah.
it just stopped her like really learning about herself.
Yeah, like if you
as
tell me
much.
somebody at 23 is having a child, I'll be like, that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's okay. Like
Yeah,
it's a child
even
having a child.
Getting married in your 20s also, I'm just
I
like,
know,
bro,
that's
that's
too
Balika
much.
Vadhu
Late
scenes.
20s, I guess, is fine.
My parents went on one date. Like Parik's parents were in a room and all. My parents went out to like a restaurant on like one date, and then they were like, yeah,
Yeah.
Wow. And they were like, yeah.
Good one.
and they got married.
Wow.
Like that's it. That's so weird. And they're like polar opposites. They have like zero interest, similar interests, but they're very like committed to the journey together.
Ignorance is bliss. Who needs to discover myself if
Yeah.
none of us have discovered ourselves?
You know, but
And I'm
that's my opinion also because I feel like if you just throw somebody into something and have them figure it out, they'll probably figure it out and stick to it. Like these young marriages where they're like, a lot of your like other communities and cultures where you have to get married early. So I've had friends who got married at like 21, 22 because that's and they knew this like since they were kids that they're going to
they've
get
been
married.
prepared for it.
Yeah, like they're going to get
Yeah, yeah,
graduated, and the first thing that's eventually coming for them is marriage. They get married, and I now see my friends married for like what 7-8 years, and they're happy. And
But
when
wait, do you not find it like super sus that like what your curiosity is just dead or what?
it's not dead. I'm just saying now that you're given this, you're like, I'm going to make the most of this and make this happen.
Yeah, but like I feel like, you know, we watch so much content these days. Like my parents also watch a lot of like really good content, and like it kind of takes your mind in different directions, no? Like given back in the day, I guess you didn't have that much exposure, and you're like, everyone lives this kind of like similar lifestyle and you're okay with it. But when you see different dynamics and different setups, I'm like, do they not think about like, oh my god, could my life just be like completely different, and like what if I were to explore something else?
You know, I recently spoke to a friend of mine who again like got married early and like now will probably have a kid in the next few years and stuff, and I was giving her just an update of my life and how much fun I'm having.
How much
and
fun
which
I'm
is-
having.
None at all.
Darling, it's fabulous
And
over
then
here.
she was just like, oh, and then she looked at me and she's like, I've realized I have quite a bit of that template life. Like I'm a template. Like, you know, you grow up
Do
and then you
this
get married.
by X,
And
Y,
she's like, I just want you to know that it's not by choice. It just happened for me and I like it and I enjoy it. But I want you to know that I understand what you're saying too. And I get that.
Yeah,
That's what
my
I'm
mom
saying.
is like that, and I always get really like it's very conflicting for me because she seems too simple to be real. You know,
What does
like
that mean?
I feel like
I know
her-
exactly what that means.
You know, she's like, she's like, yeah, I knew I was gonna get married after college, and then like I knew that, you know, I really wanted to have girls as kids. Like it's not I wanted to have kids. It's like I really wanted girls, and then I had girls, so I'm very happy. And then this happened, and so I'm really happy. And that's it. Like her entire life and her world is just like looking at things,
Few
like the
sentences.
few things that she has, and she's like, it's wonderful. It just turned out so nice.
right.
And I'm like, what is going on?
That's sweet though.
It's very sweet,
I
but
love
it's
that for
very
her.
hard for me to understand because like anything I have, I'm always like, it's nice and it's fun and I love it for now, but like it could always like change and like,
And I'm
you
pretty
know,
sure
and
if
I'll
you
go
tell
to the
her
next-
this
yeah,
exact perspective,
yeah.
she'll be like, I don't
Yeah,
understand.
I
Yes.
think that's too much for her. She's like, no, you just need to find a little simple thing and then be content and like really make the best of it. And that's whose? Okay.
I guess what we've all said is what we feel about marriage and what we feel about having partners and having kids. I don't think we ever discussed if we wanted
If
to
we
have kids
wanted
or not.
to have
But I think it was understood
Apparent.
with our respective answers. Parik, do you want to have kids? Answer is no.
Yeah,
I mean,
please.
it's not on my mind,
Yeah.
but I
But
do.
the beatings are.
But yeah, the beatings are firmly ingrained.
Find a kid.
Firmly
He
ingrained.
doesn't want his own.
I do believe in, again, like I said, you should support youth. I will have to support a lot of children that are within my circle, family, cousins, this, that, who I know will ultimately need my support. And I don't see that, again, my kids, someone
Your-
else's
their
kids,
Yeah, exactly.
not a deal
A
breaker.
selfless man.
And I think it's important to support youth in general
A
because
youth supporter.
any
We
sort
like
of
that.
like infrastructure, education, resources, whatever it is, you need to give youth their access to these things and make sure that they thrive.
Awesome. That's cute.
Would you say that our respective perspectives on marriage, kids, and everything in between is something that's moldable in the future for us, or is it something that we are 100%
in
like
stone?
set in stone? Like for me, I know that I'd like a few things to be a certain way, like we discussed. It'd be nice to have a nice family and in-laws and this and that. But like if it doesn't work out, am I willing to be like fluid and adaptable to it? And I think I want to be. I'm happy to like figure out how to be, but that in any case, even outside of marriage and children, I feel like what you do learn in all cases is how to be adaptable. And if you have that quality, then I think you can. And I'm trying to unlearn a lot of things, like the way I was brought up and the way I was told that this is how things should be and this is right and this is wrong. And that unlearning takes time. And I just hope that when things come along for me, be it marriage and partnerships or children or adoption or whatever is in store in the future, I hope that I'm easy about it. I'm not like, like this is how it should be and this is the framework and this, and if it doesn't go that way, like, because I tend to get really worked up about things and have control, like we discussed. I hope I can not care so much about control and be like, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Or pick up on the go more than go with the flow. I hope I can pick up and learn and get equipped and like seek out, like I said, like my mom's asking questions, you know, she's like, he's being like this, what do you think I should do? Like, is this the right approach? And like go out there, talk to people, figure out, and like come back and do the best I can, and literally mean by I do my best in my space and share.
Yeah.
Do you think you're adaptable to it, or do you think you're set in
100%,
stone?
No. I think I just know what I want right now.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah. But I'm like always evolving, and I think I'm always like learning about myself, and like you meet new people and you do different things, and then perspectives change, and I don't know, sometimes like things come from within and suddenly you're like,
In Bali, unmarried, dancing.
Okay.
I was just trying to take her entire current vision elsewhere.
no, I'm saying that like now I feel like I couldn't even see myself with kids, that it just feels insane to me. Like I do not feel like a mother in any capacity. But I'm like, at some point maybe, who knows, like suddenly you get an urge and then you really feel like, and then you'll figure out at that point like how, in what aspect you can be a mother, and like whatever that means at that point. And I'm flexible. Yeah, I'm happy to like mold and change and like go with the flow, as long as the flow is my way.
That was one way to end it.
But yeah, then go.
Yeah, I think similar sentiments to yours, except I feel like what we want are like two polar opposite things.
Yeah.
But like again, like I know that like 3 to 5 years ago, like marriage wasn't even like on my mind. It was like very low on the priority list. Now I think like I would like to be married, and that's like a decision or like an opinion that has evolved with time. And right now I feel negative maternal energy, like zero. Like being a plant mom only has me stressed. So that, but you know, that could change as well, and I'm open to that. I just hope I don't have the baby and then I'm like, no, I'm out. Like it's been real, but I was here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, that's scary.
I already feel like I'm a mama or a parent of sorts. Like I have people that I need to take care of. I have like people that I need to make sure that I'm around for. And this has made me feel that marriage and all is all just more layers to this already like developing like crisis that I'm going to have. So like, so it's funny you say negative paternal. I'm positive paternal sometimes.
I could see that.
Yeah. That's very sweet. I like that.
I think
also.
we was like, even with my brother, I just had to become a parent and I didn't know.
I think for me also it's like circumstantial, because like I'm younger sibling and I've just never ever had to take responsibility for anything. And then it feels like now suddenly for another human being, that's insanity. Like that's too much. And I'm like, there hasn't been like real responsibility on me ever. So to think about that feels like too much.
I don't know, but I just probably compare it to how you went boogie boarding in Goa and you were like, I'm pretty good at this.
I'm pretty good at that. Hey.
Yeah, that's what I would treat it like that.
Person number 2 who should not be a parent. I'm pretty good at this.
No, but I was only comparing it like when my brother was born and all, I didn't know I'd have to be responsible in any way or form for that. I know my parents are doing it, good for them, enjoying. I'll see him around. Cut to I'm actually responsible for
but
things.
that's
and
a
accountable.
role that you've also like taken on by yourself. It's not like your mom was like, this is
No, of
ABC.
course not, of
Like,
course not.
like you are like a very
mama.
you do have like caring instincts and like you know.
But I guess they've only come up
They
because
also
that
develop
opportunity.
circumstances. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes the circumstance like forces you to.
I guess
like,
if you're
be a
lucky,
certain
you
way.
can just like have some sort of control over those circumstances.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't know if you
There are
can.
not choices.
You know,
There
there
are
are
just
choices.
no choices that
There
you
are tons
make.
of bad dads and bad moms,
Bad moms
but
and bad
they can have good
dads.
kids.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
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 For sure.
I've met couples who were having kids and they're like, oh, I was not really sure, but like, you know, he really wants one, and I've never really thought of one, but at this point I might
Yeah.
as well. And those conversations then happen, and then you make those decisions,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. I think it's an ongoing conversation. Like,
Yeah. I mean, like we started this podcast with, like, none of us are married. None of us have kids.
yeah.
So this is all just faff.
Fresh.
Yeah.
Faff.
Fresh fact.
All right, lovely.
But yeah, it's been a good chat, guys. Thank you so much
Thank
for coming.
Don't
It's
beat
been
your
lovely.
kids.
Yeah, don't beat your
Yeah,
kids.
Don't
don't
beat
beat your
your
kids.
kids.
Bye, guys. This is Srinidi. I would just say, like, try and adapt to whatever your circumstances are.
Bye, guys. This is Vedhu. Keep it real.
I love the hair toss. I love the hair toss. That was sick. That was sick. I think that came out really good. That was great.
Just say bye. This is Rhea at least.
Oh, bye. This is Rhea at least.
Yeah,
Please leave your advice for me in the comments.
Comments, yeah.
I think the only advice that I could think of right now is circumstances are more important than people. Circumstances
good one.
are more important.
one.
That's a good one.
People, not so much.
Awesome.
Good one. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.